The following presentation is brought to you by the Realm Network.
Okay, on this episode of the DeMott Experience on the Realm Network. I always do that. I always go Realm Network, like in case nobody realizes what they're watching. I have this ongoing battle with Miss Paul. So everyone knows NFL, I can talk about it all day long. I said something last week that I wasn't a fan of. I misspoke. I'm a fan of it. I know nothing about it, and that's college football and the SEC and the CIA and the FBI and all the conferences and all these things. So what I've done for you people in the DeMott Experience world is I brought on an expert. And I'm going to introduce him right now. And I lost it. I put it on there and everything. Peter Loshak. Peter, welcome to the DeMott Experience.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So, Peter, I mean, we're going to be honest. I'm going out on a limb right now.
Sure.
I know 3 letters in college football right now, and that's UCF.
Okay, well, there's a lot more letters. I mean, a lot of people, love college football, obviously, from the fan perspective. Me personally, it's all about from the betting angle. I find the betting angle incredibly fascinating. It's all I do, with my life is sports betting. But so I approach it from that angle, and I don't have much of an interest from a fan angle. But I certainly understand it. And I certainly take it into consideration when I'm handicapping stuff.
So explain it. Let's say, I mean, I'm well versed in it, but let's say that the people who follow me on the podcast and my YouTube aren't well versed. Explain to me, because this is a science, man. I've been asked for a couple of years now to get involved in fantasy football. I don't have a clue. And I don't know if fantasy football is the same thing as what you're teaching and what you, as a handicapper, I mean, that's big business, right?
Yeah, it is. It's related. And part of the reason that fantasy is so huge in the United States right now is because of the restrictions on betting on actual games. But I mean, it's all based on odds. It's all based on basically predicting the future, which you can do in anything, not just sports betting. And in fact, I find, political odds or the Academy Awards odds just as interesting as sports betting odds. And it's all basically just predicting the future based on, what you think are predictive factors. And that's really all it is.
Now how far back? I mean, let's be honest, that sounds like a lot of work.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can be. And certainly like the people, like, for instance, I'll give you a perfect example, right? People who do it professionally. I know one group of professional gamblers, for the NFL preseason, right? They employ one guy. His entire job is just to read Twitter 70 hours a week on the NFL teams for NFL preseason betting. That's how, the professional guys do put a lot of work into it. And they have, a whole team of people who collaborate to figure out value based on the odds. So yeah, you can do it recreationally and just focus on one team and do a little bit of work, or the other end of the spectrum is professional syndicates that have many full-time employees who are working 24/7.
So this is big business. This is
Oh yeah, and it's legal in it's legal in Europe, in the UK. It's huge business. It's huge business in the United States too. It's just separated into Vegas and then a little bit underground. And but there's no question it's huge business. And in Asia, forget about it. Massive.
And so you have a button. You have to. You can tell me to shut up or stop me down when necessary. But I'm going to ask questions because
sure.
I'm intrigued. I mean, so I come to you and I say. I mean, what do I say? Smart me up about UCF?
Well,
UCF figured out? Or you're laughing at me right now like take UCF right out of the picture.
No, I mean, I don't know where to start. I can tell you that their week 1 game against FIU is a game that I handicapped and actually bet. And like, for example, they're playing Florida International. And the UCF, O'Leary is always kind of rebuilding, but they have some holes in them this year. And the initial line on that one was about 16.5. And I bet that one. And then now the market has moved the line, right? So now it's Florida International plus 14. So that would indicate that my initial bet at 16.5 was correct. And I still think they probably have a little bit of value at plus 14. So if you just come out and say UCF, what's my first thought? My first thought is bet against them in week 1 college football. and then look to maybe
lose by 14.
No, they're a 14-point favorite. over Florida International. Right. And the game has a low total. So, I mean, I don't even know where to start. I mean, if you want to ask me a basic question, we can go there. If you want to just start off with UCF,
Here's my basic question. Here's what I know about football. I'm going to show you right now. Back in 1960, when people used to write with pen and pencil,
right? Yes.
I would write every game down.
Right.
I would check the box next to the team I wanted to win.
Yes.
Now, we have handicappers. We have the great shows, and you and Mark do this thing and all this stuff. So you can start anywhere you want because it's all Greek to me.
Yeah, I mean, no, I mean, it's the internet has definitely changed things. I mean, sports betting used to be, you'd go to the paper, you'd go to the New York Post was like my local paper, and you'd cut out the section with the odds, or you'd take out the paper with the odds, and you'd start from there. And obviously, that was an ancient, very inefficient way of doing sports betting, and now it's become, like everything else, completely transformed by the internet. And that's what our website is, sportsbookreview.com. We are a one-stop, portal for everything that you would possibly need in the internet age for sports betting. And it's completely a different animal than it was in 1975. Although it's interesting to read about the history of sports betting and how it's matured for sure.
I'm trying to get this up here because I had it in the
Loshak.
Loshak. And I'm going to save it this time because I want people to hear that. I got a lot of buddies of mine who go on all these things and they tell me, oh, I did this and I did that. And I go, okay, I got nothing for you.
Yeah, I have those kinds of friends too, believe me.
So here it is for me, right? Sportsbookreview.com. Is that correct?
Yes.
And Peter, and I want everybody to check you guys out because I want you to help me out because you said in the New York Post?
Yeah, well, I'm from New York, so I mean, but it was a local paper where you would cut out the, and they actually still print them. I don't even, it was that's where you would start. You would go and look at the odds, and I mean, like right now, for instance, the lines move very, very quickly. You know what I mean? Like lines bounce back and forth, like the FIU game that we just discussed. Back then, just because of technology, they couldn't move the lines in the way that they do now, and so that's a big thing. I mean, line movement in sports betting, especially college football, is very interesting and very telling.
So the season just began this week. Is that correct?
Yes, it starts on Thursday,
and so it starts this week. So tell me, where do the national champions stand as a repeat? Where are we at with that?
Well, obviously, Ohio State is a massive favorite right now. Currently, as we sit right here, let me pull up my notes. Ohio State is plus 250 to win to win it all. So that means that if you bet $100 and they win, you win 250, which is very short odds. The second choice for comparison is Alabama at plus 1,000, which means that if you bet $100 and they win, you win $1,000, which is obviously a massive jump just from the number one team to the number two team. So it's all about Ohio State. Now they have a ton of depth. Then Alabama's number 2, TCU's number 3, and then you have a whole bunch of long shots. Then the field starts to.
So there's no mention in the top 10 of UCF.
No, UCF. Not only is UCF. Yeah.
What are my odds here? If I bet $100, UCF.
If you really want me to check, I can check. It'll take.
No, don't, because you just answered the question for me. If Alabama pays 1,000 to 1.
No. 10 to 1. 10 to 1.
10 to 1. Then UCF is, listen,
yeah.
Everybody at UCF, Bill DeMott, the Bill DeMott experience, I got your back.
Yeah, I mean, the odds are there. I really only have on my notes sheet here like the top 50 choices. And so I don't think that you
the top 50.
The odds are there somewhere. I mean, Vegas will hang up odds for anything, but it's really mostly just a courtesy. They know that, it's not that UCF doesn't really have a chance, and that almost no one except for wackos are going to bet it. So
right. Unbelievable. So we're going to stay with UCF, but since you're from New York, you're wearing the Yankees hat. Help me out here.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge
New
York Football Giants fan.
Okay.
Let's go pro. Tell me where we're at
with the Giants this year.
Yes.
Well, They they didn't have that great of a preseason. They're pretty banged up. Do you want me to pull up the odds for them? I don't have the odds on me right now.
I only want the odds if you're going to tell me they're going all the way.
Well, in the NFL, it's totally different. Like every single NFL team does have a legitimate chance of win. I mean, even like, the worst team, I don't know who that, maybe Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year, even the worst team, even though that's a massive long shot, it's not the same in terms of like being a ridiculous bet as UCF. I mean, in the NFL, there's much more parity. Obviously, they're all professionals. So any NFL team, when you're talking about their chances of, winning it all, it's a legitimate question as opposed to, the 3/4 of the college football teams where it's not really a legitimate question.
So to be fair, it'd be fair, and it's easy for me to say the New York Giants could win it all, and
they could.
The Cowboys could be the worst team in the league.
Yes. In the NFL, anything it's a long shot. It's a long shot, but anything is possible in the NFL because, the difference between the top team and the worst team is tiny compared to college football.
Right. But if we could just say for this show.
Yeah, the Giants have a shot.
Dallas Cowboys are the worst team, and Miss Paula is listening right now. And I know you know that. I have a legitimate handicapper telling me that it's possible.
If you want me to say something bad about Dallas, I will say that Dallas, with Tony Romo as quarterback, as a home favorite, has been a team that I have looked to bet, has been a situation that I've repeatedly looked to bet against and won with over the past bunch of years. So yeah, in general, I've loved to bet against Dallas over the past bunch of years. So that's a negative.
You are my new best friend. You just made a whole bunch of people happy and one young lady very upset, which I'm okay with.
And the good thing about talking to a person from an odds perspective is that there's no bullshit, right? Anytime you're talking about odds and betting, you put your money where your mouth is. Right. And so it's not from a fan perspective, there's, bullshit flying all over the place. From an odds perspective, you put your money where your mouth is, or what you said doesn't mean anything. So, I'm telling you what I bet on. So that means that my fading of Dallas recently was real and legitimate.
That's awesome. I'll take that all day long. So let you and I had a brief conversation before we came on the air. And I got to get to this real quick before we get to because I want to talk about the Heisman Trophy. And I want to talk about all these things. But you asked me if I drove a car.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll let me put it this way. I'm from New York City, right? And so in New York, a lot of people don't drive. It's actually not that unusual. But to give you an idea of just how much sports betting consumes my life, and not in a bad way. I mean, I love it. People are like, why don't you learn? And I'm like, well, I could learn. I don't really need to right now. And I'd rather just spend that time that I would spend learning to drive in, more sports betting handicapping. So it's like,
I wish I could get away with that.
Yeah.
I don't think I could. I got to talk to Steve, my manager, about not driving.
You learn to adapt in life,
Judging by his face, I'm not going to adapt to that. But so no insurance, no nothing.
Oh yeah. No hassles, no headaches, no, I don't have to worry about being harassed by the cops anywhere that I go, and it's much easier. But mostly the main reason that I haven't learned to drive yet is because it's just my life is about sports betting.
And this is 7 days a week.
Oh yeah. 7 days a week.
All sports, you guys cover all sports?
At Sportsbook Review, we cover all sports. I personally cover all U.S. sports. I don't cover I covered the World Cup in soccer, but I don't cover soccer on a day-by-day basis. But, yeah, cover all sports. I cover Canadian football. And, the one break in the sports betting here for U.S. sports, which everyone jokes about, is the All-Star break in baseball. It's the middle of summer, and over those 3 days, there's like one WNBA game or something, and everyone jokes about how that's like the 3 days of vacation. So it's 7 days a week except for the 2 or 3 days of the All-Star break in summer. So it's like 362 days a year, basically.
So I'm fascinated. Let me ask you this. Do people come to you and bet on the Heisman Trophy?
Bet on the Heisman Trophy. Oh, well, the Heisman Trophy is a bet that is given odds. It's more of a recreational bet. Like prop bets in general are considered recreational bets, although the odds tend to be soft, which means that you can make money on them. And pros do bet into them for sure. Heisman odds are very recreational because obviously the field is massive. It's a little bit like golf, except much more of a recreational bet than golf, obviously. So, but yeah, people, put up Heisman odds and they discuss them and they analyze them. And right now, let's see, the favorite for the Heisman is Boykin. That's right, Trayvon Boykin from TCU. He's about 5.5 to 1. The interesting thing, though, see, this is how you analyze odds. Since 2000. All of the Heisman Trophy winners have been quarterbacks except one. But this year, out of the top 5 choices, only 2 are quarterbacks, and 3 out of the top 4 are running backs. That strikes me as a little bit, those odds are a little bit off, I think.
And the week's just starting, and already the kid from TCU is the favorite.
Oh no, these odds have been up for months. For months, he's been the favorite from the get go, and obviously, I'm sorry,
from last year.
Yeah, I don't exactly remember when exactly they went up, but those odds go up very soon.
And then do you think? So let me ask your opinion. Do you think this kid holds on for the whole year and takes it?
I mean, look, if TCU goes undefeated and and Boykin doesn't get injured, then yes, he probably wins it. It's just with Heisman odds, obviously, injury is the big factor. Injury can happen to anyone. If he gets injured, obviously, your bet is screwed. So yeah, I would never bet a Heisman futures odds, but if I were going to, I don't know if I would ever bet the actual favorite. But 5.5 to 1 is what you get if you want to bet Boykin the favorite right now.
So if I came to you and I went on your site and I came to you and I said $500 on Boykin to take.
Well, we don't take bets. We're not a sports book. We're a sports betting interest website.
Right. Yeah. So if I said to you, I'm going to take him the whole year, what would you say to me?
I would say okay. I would say that's a recreational bet. I hope you don't consider that to be positive EV, which is the betting term for a bet that was a good bet to make. But if you want to do it, hey, you have your reasons.
So even in what you do, you have to be politically correct. Instead of saying Bill, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh no. No. That's not being. I don't know. There's no political correctness. That's what I love about sports betting and betting in general. There's no political correctness. It's all about no bullshit. Money talks and bullshit walks. Yeah. No. I mean, look. That could be a positive EV bet. I mean, I have no personal opinion on the value of that at 5 to 1. If you have reason to believe that you've made a good bet at 5 to 1 on Boykin, sure, maybe I'd ask you why you like it. But I certainly would not judge. If I had a strong opinion on something else, like if you made a bet on something and I personally bet on the other side, then I would tell you that I think that's a bad bet. But certainly, yeah, no.
This whole thing. So let's do this because, like I said, I'm the guy. I'm the guy who can talk wrestling and I can entertain a few people and all these things. But break it down for me in simplest form because I know this is what you do. Sports betting for the average man.
Yeah.
What?
Okay.
Like what? Like if I wanted to go, hey. I want to dabble in betting. I mean,
okay. Well, there's two sort of groups of sports bettors. One is like the quote unquote recreational bettors, and that's like 99%. And then there's the professionals, which is the 1%. And anyone in the recreational betting is not a bad thing. It's just that you sort of maybe shouldn't necessarily expect to win, whereas professional bettors are doing it because they expect to win. Now, it doesn't mean that recreational bettors can't win, and usually recreational bettors focus in on, one team or one sport or one conference or something like that. So, sports betting is just about factors that you think are predictive, and if you're right on balance more often than you're wrong, you're likely to wind up winning. If you're not right, then the proof is in the pudding, and you'll probably wind up losing. But all it is about identifying factors that you think are predictive. That's all it is.
And it has nothing to do, and please take the way I'm going to say it. It has nothing to do with who has the coolest logo.
Nope. Although, maybe if you, like for example, right? Like sometimes, teams wear things special, football teams wear special logos on their helmet or on their uniform for some days. And usually I'm thinking like if a team is going out and doing something like that, I'm going to look to bet against them. So, I mean, the point is that if you think that a logo is predictive in some way, that's certainly if that's your opinion, and if you want to bet into it, go ahead. And if you're right, congratulations, you'll make some money.
That's the below. So I think I'm in the below average man category.
No, it's really not like that. It's all just about sitting around trying to predict the future, and that's the thing. You don't have to. There's no insults going around because the proof is in the pudding. The people
right, straight up.
Yeah, the people who win were right, and the people who lose were wrong.
Now, you guys, you work with Mark Rogers, right? And you have
I do, yeah.
You have the YouTube channel.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. I do a bunch of media, and I do a regular call with Mark Rogers. Yeah, and I do a bunch of media with other people. I write. I contribute to articles, various places like Pacific Takes. I do a lot of stuff on covering the Pac-12.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. I going into the season, and again, my declaration: UCF. Bortles isn't going to do anything for Jacksonville, but that's my opinion. And that poor kid from FSU,
Winston, yeah.
The debate around my house is he has no confidence.
Well, it's going to be tough. Tampa Bay has some offensive line issues. Winston might be in for a rough going this year. It's not going to be. I don't think he's the second coming of Andrew Luck, if that's what you're getting at. No.
There you go. So let's touch on quick NFL, the things I do know about.
Okay.
Is there anybody coming to you guys about RG3?
In what sense? I mean,
like, is there anybody saying, hey, I mean, if I came to you and said, I want to, what's the thoughts? Do you guys give insight into what players are doing? I mean, where's he going to go? If Washington gets rid of him, where's he going?
Well, that's not really what I do is I preview games week by week. You know what I mean? So the RG3 saga, it's not like from a fan perspective where you like discuss the general, saga and the drama involved. For me, it's a week by week thing. You know what I mean? I look at Washington's upcoming game and the odds and what the reports are for whether RG3 is going to play or not, what condition he's likely to be in or not. And then we take it on a week by week basis. And I use that as obviously a big factor in Washington games to analyze their odds. And it really is a week by week thing. Like, when I haven't even started with the NFL Week 1 lines yet, but when they do, I'll look at the situation with RG3, whether he's likely to play or not, whether he's likely to start or not. We'll look at what the odds are and see what the situation is. Now,
is that a bet? Is that something in Vegas that someone's putting odds that he starts?
In Vegas you can bet on anything. And there's certainly a ton of props surrounding the games. There will definitely be props surrounding Washington's first game, as there are props for every game and for every NFL game. I'm not sure whether there will be any RG3 props that week, but there probably will be. I mean, places like Bodog and places that like to put up a lot of props may very well put up an RG3 prop. And if they do, that's great.
Unbelievable. So you guys cover all sports: baseball, basketball.
Yep. College, pro, Canadian football, which I'm killing this year.
Golf.
Yeah, oh sure, of course. Golf, tennis, cricket. I mean, Europe. We're you and I can tell you're from the United States, right? I don't need you to fill me in on that, right? And being from the United States, we have let's admit it, we have sort of a narrow view of things.
Yes,
like worldwide, like cricket is massive. I don't even know if you could identify what cricket looks like.
I was in Dubai and I watched them play. Fascinating,
right? Cricket betting is massive in like Australia. Rugby is huge. Obviously soccer is massive all over the world. So yeah, and at SBR we cover all sports. I personally I stick to U.S. sports, and I cover and like horse racing is massive all over the world. I cover U.S. sports, and I do cover soccer for like the World Cup. Like I'll cover the World Cup every time it comes around.
What was because you talked about horse racing, what kind of money, if you know it all, what kind of money was being thrown around on American Pharaoh, and then he didn't take that race?
I did cover the Triple Crown. I mean, horse racing is a little bit different because a lot of the betting comes in, obviously, at the tracks pari-mutuel, and then the sports books, cover it from a different perspective. So the betting that comes in on the Triple Crown races at the sports books is a little bit different from other, because it's like in the Super Bowl, obviously, a lot of money is bet at Vegas and with local books, but the sports books take a ton of betting. With horse racing, they do take a lot, but the track, it's a different dynamic. But it was a big shock. The sharp guys that I knew were betting against Triple Crown, and they bet against American Pharoah in the Belmont, but they lost this year. But overall, they've won with betting against Triple Crown.
Really?
Yeah. But I mean, it's a big favorite. You only have to beat the favorites. I mean, in the Kentucky Derby, for example, betting against a favorite is notoriously a profitable thing to do long term. Doesn't mean you're going to win every year, but
right.
And this year they got burned. But in years past, people betting against Triple Crown contenders have gotten have made money for sure.
Like my head's spinning. Like now I want to go to fantasy football.
And actually talk about sports. To talk about horse racing. I mean, horse racing was what I started with when it came to betting. I mean, when I was 13 years old, I thought horse racing was interesting. And now with the advent of the internet and with sportsbooks being offered, the only way that I bet horse racing now, I don't bet the traditional way where you bet to win or place or show or trifectas or whatever. I bet matchup props, and that's the way. And even though for the Belmont, I ignored American Pharoah completely, but I still won money because you can bet sportsbooks, which you can't do at the track because the track is based on pari-mutuel system. With sportsbooks, you can bet one horse against the other horse in a race, and that's by far my favorite way to bet horse racing in general now.
Not even to win, just one horse against
one horse against the other. So if one horse comes in 7th place and the horse you're betting him against comes in 8th, you win. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I really got to catch up.
Well, you can catch up. You don't have to catch up all at once. I mean, you can catch up little by little. That's the great. That would be if I could give one piece of advice to someone who is interested in sports and thinks sports betting is interesting and wants to jump right in. My piece of advice would be take it slow. Don't get in over your head, and definitely only bet on what you have a handle on. If you
bet what you know.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to start in with college football or college basketball, my recommendation would be just start with one conference. Don't be like, I'm going to jump in with all the conferences and blah, 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 blah. Or you could start with the NFL or something like that. Start slow and only bet with what you know.
That's awesome. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So let's do this kind of like in closing.
Sure.
Just give me, this is your opinion and so give me your college pick to go to the champion, to become champions.
Oh gosh, you mean in terms of value?
I'm going to put you on the spot. Yeah,
okay.
I don't even know if in terms of value.
Because that's the only way. That's the only way. I mean, if that's the only way that I look at things, because if you ask me that question right now and you say just pick a team who's going to win, not thinking about value, I would never be so arrogant as to go against the market and say that Ohio State doesn't have the best chances. So I would just say Ohio State. I mean, from a betting perspective, there's just no way that I could do that. My brain wouldn't let me. Ohio State's a massive favorite. I'm not going to say the market's wrong.
So we're gonna say you're saying Ohio State.
Yes, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I think they have the best value out of all the teams that are up right now. But they're far and away the favorite, and not taking odds into consideration, there's no way that I'm going to give my opinion that the market's wrong.
Okay, so let's change. Let's go with baseball now. Where do we stand? Who's going to take it all as far as what information you have?
Oh my gosh! Well,
that's a big can of worms right there.
The way that I think of things in baseball is on a game by game basis from a value perspective. And in baseball this year, the Kansas City Royals have been number one in the ROI standings in baseball the whole year long. They're like near 20%. So that means basically if you bet on the Kansas City Royals every game this year, you would have won 20% of the total amount of all that you bet. The Kansas City Royals have been absolutely money in the bank this year. So, my sense is that continues in September. And then when the World Series comes, baseball's a little bit different because there's so many games and the postseason is just, is so short that I don't even when the World Series comes around, I cover it, but it's not like I really get excited for it. It's like, I follow baseball closely day by day. And then when the World Series comes around, it's like, I cover it, but it's just another bunch of games for me. It's not that interesting. But I definitely, for me, baseball is interesting from a game by game and week by week perspective during the regular season. So what is it? So tell me, because you touched on it, what charges you up? And you talked about Canadian football. You're doing well at it this year. Yeah. What's the one sport or the one event that gets you charged up? Oh, I would say all of them. I personally, actually,
when do you get excited? Like this time of year? What time of year?
March Madness, baby. March Madness. That's what gets me, because, and not just from a fan, but from a betting perspective, it's great because you have a whole year's worth of data to look at. So from a betting perspective, there's a lot to work with. The public is looking at it, so the odds are can get skewed in favor of public betting. And then there's the minor tournaments that are also very fun to bet on. So for me, March Madness is the best time of year. Late March, second half of March.
Very cool. Well, let's do this, man. I appreciate your time and dropping the knowledge, and I would love to catch up with you during the season. Maybe we make a date halfway through the season, and
anytime.
If I dwell into this at any point, we can see if I really picked up on anything. But I want everybody to go to. Peter, I appreciate you so much. Everybody go to sportsbookreview.com. Check these guys out. They're great guys. I'm glad we cleared up the fact that I'm a I almost said UFC. How about that betting?
I'm telling you, my bet this week, I have a lot of week 1 college football bets, but one of my biggest, Florida International plus 16.5 over UCF. And I also bet the under a little bit as well.
Florida International over UCF. I'm just saying that I'm not taking that bet.
Plus 16.5 though. Plus 16.5.
Okay, I'm saying on the air I'm not taking it, but I might talk to you about it after.
Okay.
All right, man. Hey, have a great weekend. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, buddy. Hey, that was Peter Loshak from SportsbookReview.com. I'm gonna bring to you what I know, and then I'm gonna bring to you what I don't know. And what I don't know is college football and Major League Baseball and betting the odds. But it's big business, and there's a lot of guys who are intelligent, and these guys are those guys. So go to SportsbookReview.com. I'll catch up with Peter during the season. What season? I have no idea. Maybe every season now. He may have just created an animal. This is Bill DeMott. This is the Bill DeMott Experience. Do what you say what you mean what you do. I'm out.
Visit VinceRussoBrand.com to sign up for exclusive VIP content. You get over 20 new video shows monthly, including Vixens Who Rule and The Swerve, where Vince Russo interviews stars in wrestling and beyond. Listen to Vince and Jeff Lane discuss weekly news and rumors and review Attitude Era Raws. Also, watch the cult hit Bucket Full of Chicken next. Go to VinceRussoBrand.com and click the red subscribe button to join now.